Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to tear down the billboards and skip the commercials to really deconstruct what marketing is all about. And here's a hint. It's a whole lot more than just advertising. Let's just dive right in with a question I think we've all screamed at our TVs at some point. Is marketing really just an endless parade of annoying ads? For a long time, it sure felt like the answer was a definite yes.
But yeah, that old view, it's pretty much history. The whole philosophy has done a complete 180. It's gone from a one-way street of just pushing products at people to a two-way conversation about creating genuine value. And we're not talking about a small tweak here. This is a total reinvention of the whole idea.
So, okay, what does this new way of thinking actually look like? To get a handle on that, let's turn to some of the heavy hitters who basically wrote the book on it. First up, the absolute legend, Peter Drucker. He came at this with a really radical idea. He said the goal of marketing isn't even to sell. No, it's to understand your customer so perfectly that the product is such a great fit, it basically sells itself. Suddenly, that whole hard sell thing just becomes unnecessary. Then you've got Philip Kotler, who a lot of people call the father of modern marketing. He kind of builds on Drucker's idea. He calls it both a science and an art. This process of figuring out what people need, making something that fills that need, and then getting it to them in a way that makes money. And that word right there, value, that's the key to everything. And if you look at the official definition from the American Marketing Association, well, they take it even one step further. See how they expand the circle? Value isn't just for the customer anymore. It's for partners, it's for clients, and, this is the big one, for society as a whole. And that really changes the game, doesn't it? Okay, so that's the big picture. Let's get under the hood now and look at the engine that makes this whole thing run. Because at its heart, marketing is all about a really basic human process: exchange. Look, it all starts with something super simple. We all have basic needs, right? Like food. But then our culture and our own tastes shape that need into a want. So you don't just need food, you want spicy food. And then, when you've got the cash in your pocket to actually buy that spicy meal, your want turns into demand. And that's exactly where marketing lives, right at that sweet spot between what we want and what we can actually get. And this is where the magic happens, really, the core transaction. A company comes up with a market offering. Could be a product, a service, even an experience that's designed to meet that demand. And that offering makes an exchange possible. It's a classic win-win. You get what you want, they get your business. Everybody's happy. So that's the basic idea of it. We get that. But what's the end game? What is marketing really trying to do in today's world? What's the mission? See, it's not just about raking in cash anymore, not by a long shot. The best marketing today is this incredible balancing act. Success means juggling three things at once: making customers happy, making the company profitable, and actually doing some good for society. And if you focus too much on just one of these, the whole thing can get seriously out of whack. So if we zoom in a little, you can see these three big goals. For the customer, it's all about creating value, even delight. For the organization, you need profit and a strong brand. And for society, it's about being ethical, sustainable. The real trick? You gotta nail all three. Hitting just one or two of them doesn't cut it anymore. All right, so if that's the mission, how do they actually pull it off? What's in the toolkit that turns all this philosophy into real-world action? Well, it basically comes down to three main types of jobs. You've got the exchange functions. That's the obvious stuff, buying and selling. But for that to even happen, you need the physical functions, like actually moving products around and storing them somewhere. And then, holding it all together, you've got the facilitating functions. This is kind of the behind-the-scenes stuff, like financing, research, and managing risk. Just think about a company like Flipkart in India, for example. They aren't just a website where you buy things. Their whole business hinges on massive warehouses for storage, complex logistics for transport, and deep data analytics to figure out what you want next. Every single piece of that puzzle? Yep, that's marketing. Okay, so now that we have all the pieces on the board, let's do a little time traveling. Because marketing, as we know it, didn't just pop up out of nowhere. It's been on a pretty long journey. I mean, it's wild to see how much the focus has changed over the last 150 years or so. We've gone through 6 pretty distinct eras, starting with an intense focus on just the factory and landing all the way here in our crazy, complicated digital world. Way back in the production era, the game was simple. Just make as much stuff as you can, as cheaply as you can. Henry Ford's famous quote about the Model T sums it up perfectly. You didn't get a choice, but hey, it was available and you could afford it. That was the whole point. But then, by the 1930s, factories got so good at making things that they had a new problem: too much stuff flying around. This kicked off the sales era, which was basically built on one idea. You have to push and push hard to get people to buy things, whether they really needed them or not. And then, everything flipped. This was the big one. After World War II, a totally game-changing idea started to take over. Hey, instead of trying to find customers for the products we already made, why don't we make products for the customers we want? And just like that, the customer is king era was born. And that path leads us right to where we are today, which is kind of a mix of a couple of big ideas. We have societal marketing, where companies like Tata are expected to balance their profits with the well-being of the public. And at the same time, we're deep in the holistic and digital era. Think of Amazon, where every ad, every click, every recommendation is woven together into this single, seamless experience that almost knows what you want before you do.
Whew. Okay, so we've really taken the whole idea of marketing, put it on the table, and looked at all the pieces, from a simple ad to this massive strategy that shapes businesses and even society.
So let's wrap this up. What are the big takeaways? First, marketing is not just selling. It's the whole system of delivering value. It works by understanding that simple journey from a basic human need to a specific demand. Today, its mission is a tough balancing act between company, customer, and society. And if you look at its history, it's a clear story of moving focus away from the factory and putting it squarely on people. And that really leaves us with one last big question to think about. We've seen marketing evolve from the production line all the way to the palm of your hand. So, as technology and society keep racing forward, what do you think is next? What's the next big chapter in the story of marketing going to look like?